Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Wicked Bee of the West YouTube channel. My name is Dr. Stephanie Diana Eubank. I teach business administration over at Stan State, and I am the sole proprietor of Wicked Bee of the West YouTube channel and consulting. So, I want to talk about something that keeps coming up in conversations about the future of work, especially when we talk about remote work and hybrid work. But it's not always easily named directly. And within remote work, it didn't just change where we work, it changed what types of leaders we actually require and what kind of leaders those who are in non-management roles truly need and want. And I think the gap between what leadership used to be and what it feels like it needs to be explains a lot about why we're seeing such a strong push to return to office, especially from those who are in current leadership roles. For a long time, leadership was built around visibility and only visibility, being present, being seen, managing by a proximity. And in an office, that works, or at least it appeared to work, because leadership could lean on observation instead of trust. Remote work removed that safety net. When people aren't physically visible, leadership has to rely on a different skill set, clear communications, goal clarity, trust, and outcomes and not activity. Also, leaders have had to learn that clarity is kindness, regardless of how or how they're communicating as far as modality of communication, but also regardless of who they're communicating with. And that's where traditional leadership models really start to struggle. One of the biggest shifts remote work and hybrid work demand is moving from managing people to developing people. And that means leaders have to develop trust. Remote teams can't be micromanaged into high performance. They need leaders who can explain context, build confidence, and support learning. And that's where we're seeing something really interesting emerge. Leaders who thrive remotely often have what I'd call a teacher like leadership style. They coach more than they command, they focus on the why or why not, just and not just the task at hand. They design systems instead of policing behavior. When you're focusing on what people are doing wrong, that's all you're going to reap instead of properly appreciating your teams. They don't need control to maintain authority. They earn influence through clarity and support. This is where return to office pressures start to make more sense. For some organizations, return to office or RTO isn't really about productivity or collaboration. It's about familiar leadership signals. Being able to see people at work feeling culturally anchored in the physical space regarding traditional work cultures, restoring control structures that remote work quietly dissolves. Remote work has always been a way of exposing leadership gaps. And instead of developing new skills, coaching, emotional intelligence, systems thinking, some organizations reach for the fastest solution. They reach for what they know. And that includes bringing everyone back in person. Leaders who will succeed in remote and hybrid work, or even now in person, are those who behave more like educators than supervisors. They guide, they teach, they create environments where people can do their best work without hovering. Resistance to remote work isn't proof that it's failed. It's a signal that leadership itself is transitioning and current leaders are scared. And the question moving forward isn't where people work, it's whether leaders are willing to evolve enough to meet them there, especially with regards to the future of work. Because we all have to remember that remote work, it's here to stay. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. And as always, follow me on my other social media platforms.